Hey there, happy Friday, nerds. It's a overcast Friday, so I figured while we're out, let's do a little walk and talk. And I don't think I've done one yet on video games, so I thought I'd do it. Here's what I'm currently playing. I'm currently flipping between two games. One is about connecting worlds together, finding the connections in each other, and sort of rebuilding a broken down world. And the other is directed by Hideo Kojima. Of course, I'm talking about Donkey Kong Bonanza and Death Stranding 2. Donkey Kong Bonanza has lately taken over as my primary game because one, my Switch 2 kind of needed something. Mario Kart, the new Mario Kart, was fun for a bit, but I wasn't going to participate in any of the online stuff or any of that. So my Switch 2 was kind of just sitting there gathering some dust until Bonanza, which should have been a launch title. But regardless of all that, it is exceptional. It's stellar. It's a lot of fun. Just the general practice of the game, the basic core of the game of smashing through any and everything to collect everything and get to the next layer and rebuild and sort of, beat the big bad. It's a pretty paper thin plot. It's not anything too crazy or anything heady, but there's just a real satisfaction of going through this game. I think it's kind of funly named like Red Faction Gorilla and a really nice pun. But that's really the best way to describe it, is that you can destroy just about everything. I think there's stats tracking, every cubic meter. It measures how much you've destroyed, and you can do millions and millions of damage. It's wild, but it's also fucking gorgeous. It's beautiful to look at. Solid gameplay, very good platforming, and it helps that it was made by the Super Mario Odyssey people, because it's all through the game. It felt like if you played Odyssey and then you jump to this, you'd be like, oh, night and day. Not even, or rather, it's not night and day. Like, these are two in the DNA of Bonanza is Mario Odyssey. So super solid showcase. I've sort of beaten the main game, and then there's some post game that's opened up. It's still more collecting, so I'm not as enticed to get through that. I'll probably, if I ever get to a point where I'm a little bit of a drought and I need something to play, I might go back to it. But right now, I think I'm sort of putting it on pause because I'm going to go back to Death Stranding 2, Hideo Kojima's latest game, which launched, is it June? July, sometime late June, I think. Kojima is kind of like Tarantino to me for video games, and that's probably incredibly trite and cliche to say, so I hear it. Don't come for me for that. But he's just such a creative guy, and he has such creative ideas, and he surrounds himself with really creative people that can make his ideas into this wonderful art. The problem is, and I've said this for the last few games that he's sort of worked on, he doesn't need to be in the writer's room. He does not need to be writing these. He can direct. He can provide ideas and then let a team write them. But he is also someone no one's telling him no. He's just kind of got carte blanche to do whatever he wants. And a lot of his stories lately have just been super out there, and some people are like, oh, well, if you read this, or if you know anything about this, and it's like, I don't want to do extra homework to understand the plot of something that should be inside of the premise. Lately I felt like this idea of, oh yeah, no, in order to fully understand this thing, you have to read this extra wiki or this extra concept or whatever. To me, that's kind of bad storytelling, because if you didn't include it in your original thing, how would I know to then go read something else to get the full picture? That doesn't seem fair and doesn't really seem like good storytelling to me, but to each their own. I don't know. The core concept of Death Stranding, though, like the gameplay loop, I'm digging. Especially it feels, once you start getting weapons and stronger weapons and more, machine guns, tranks, things like that, the gameplay really does feel like the next Metal Gear Solid, which I'm sure he's tried to get away from. I know he wants to get away from because of Konami and all of that, but he's also created one of the best, arguably one of the better series of the last 3 decades in Metal Gear Solid. So that's probably still part of his DNA too. It's hard for him to let that go, I would imagine. Death Stranding does feel at parts like that, especially the combat, like the next Metal Gear Solid. But if you ask me what the story is, oh boy, I'd have to go read a bunch of extra stuff to fill in the blanks, because it's all like, I don't know. I guess I'm not awake enough and really not smart enough to actually convey what it's all about. And it's kind of frustrating in that aspect. But that's not stopping me from keeping going with Death Stranding 2. I think I'm nearing 3/4, maybe the end. I'm not sure. I'd have to look into it. But it's solid. It's got me engaged. I just wish it made more sense, and maybe it will by the end. It probably won't, like the first one. But we'll see. We'll keep tuned. But speaking of Metal Gear Solid, my next hype game comes later this year, or comes later this month, really. And funny enough, it is a remake of probably, if it's not my favorite game of all time, it's definitely in the top 3. But Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater Delta. Maybe it's just Metal Gear Solid Delta. I don't know. But it's a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, which from PS2 was one of my favorite games of all time. I remember one of my first purchases on eBay was actually the Subsistence Edition. It was a red box, and I missed the initial launch of it, and because I was probably like a broke kid, didn't have any money. And then I finally got a job where I could buy things beyond my means. And I remember dropping like $100 on it. It was a used copy, but it came with everything. Like, it was still in good condition, but I just remember buying that, and like I think I still have it. It's just become like a treasured thing that I have. So yeah, Snake Eater is one of my favorites, and Delta looks phenomenal. Like, it really just looks like they're taking the same exact plot and giving it gorgeous makeover, which is kind of what Blue Point does. So why mess with that template if it's just working? So very much looking forward to that. Launch is later in August, and I will definitely be spending a lot of time with that. It's a remake that's done the series and the game justice, because I'd hate to see it hampered. But hey, if it is, I could always just go back to Snake Eater. That's what I don't like, when people are like, oh, it ruins the original. Why? Did it erase the original? Does it no longer exist? Can you not go back and experience it? Like, let's not be that egregious about things, guys. Come on. Exaggeration is a problem, and I hate it. That's this week's walk and talk. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of blanked last week. I didn't really have much to talk about, so I kind of skipped it. And this week I was kind of the same. I was like, yeah, let's talk video games, because I haven't done that in a little while, or ever on here. But I like talking video games. It was a huge part of my life for probably a quarter of my life, and it still is, but it's fallen off. Just, you know, life's gotten in the way. But yeah, tell me what you think. Do you like Donkey Kong Bonanza, Death Stranding 2, excited about Metal Gear Solid Delta? What games are you playing this summer? Let me know. All right, see you nerds. See you next time.